Aloha kako. Good to be here this morning. I'm Jonathan Masaki in with two good-looking guys right here. And this is now the Big West along with the Hawaii Tourism Authority announced today a new multi-year deal for the UH to host postseason volleyball tournaments.
Our Kyle Chinen was at that press conference and joins us live now with more. Kyle, thanks for being here. What can you tell us about this?
Yeah, so they had the announcement today at about 10 this morning. So the Big West reaffirming their partnership with HTA, set to host and bring 3 postseason tournaments to the islands in the next coming years. So the 2024 and 2025 men's volleyball tournament are going to be at the Simplify Arena, along with the 2026 women's volleyball tournament. Now, the women's team bracket, they started doing postseason tournaments this season, so they kind of locked up those spots. But along with that, they will be, it's always great to bring back the tournament to Hawaii. It was at UC Irvine for the men's in 2023. But UH hosted the previous 3 tourneys for the Big West here at the Stan. Always nice to bring one of the country's premier men's volleyball conferences to a place that has some of the top and arguably the best volleyball fans in the country. Here is Big West Commissioner Dan Butterly on today's announcement.
Championship volleyball is back in Hawaii. Today, we unveil a new multi-year renewal of our comprehensive partnership with the Hawaii Tourism Authority that will bring the 2024 and 2025 Big West Men's Volleyball Championships and the 2026 Big West Women's Volleyball Championships back to the Hawaiian Islands and here at the University of Hawaii. The opportunity to bring these championships to Hawaii was significantly improved with the Big West partnership with HTA and the tremendous fan support we receive each time we bring an event here at the Stan Sheriff Center.
So the last time the men's tourney was held in Hawaii was in 2022. That was kind of the welcome back to fans, because the previous year in 2021, obviously it was an empty arena during kind of the thick of the COVID pandemic. So it's going to be nice to have 2 full years, really 3 full years of volleyball postseason tournaments here in the islands, and just the revenue that will attract, just a bunch of teams, all their fans coming to the islands to experience. And, for the teams, what a great place to come and play some high-level volleyball. It was a really cool announcement, and just kind of reaffirming their commitment to being here and kind of almost, recognizing the fact that this place is a very rich volleyball fan base, and they love competitive volleyball, guys.
Most definitely.
Yeah,
Kyle,
absolutely.
thank you for this. I got to ask you, let's talk a little bit about that economic impact. When I heard this headline come out, I was curious, do you think they made this decision as a result of the Maui wildfires and realizing that Hawaii is taking a little bit of an economic dip? Did that play into any of that? Did they talk about that? But overall, how big of a benefit is this? It's
definitely going to be a boost. Whenever a major sporting event comes to town, it always boosts the economy. And yes, they mentioned, Dan Butterly, he mentioned in his presser, thoughts and prayers out to the people of Maui and everyone affected there. But, definitely noticing that there was kind of that lack of big tourists, big attractions coming to town, it would definitely boost this economy, especially now when they are kind of in a lull with the Maui Invitational kind of not happening in Lahaina, but, just kind of getting things going again.
Yeah, most definitely.
And thank you, Kyle, for that. Obviously, like you said, volleyball is God status here in Hawaii. And when I came back, from California, people just really are amazed at how big volleyball is.
Right.
So it's good to see it's coming back to the islands.
Definitely. Yeah. I can't wait. It was always fun to watch the men's team play. I've been to a couple national tournaments and Big West tournaments, so I cannot wait for these next couple years.
Yeah. And Kyle, we've been seeing some video of the team from past years, but any indication on what the sports teams are looking like this year? Not just for volleyball, but UH in general, athletic sports. Tell us about it.
Yeah, well, we're in the thick of women's volleyball season, and they're right there right now. They have a pivotal game coming up this Saturday to kind of keep them in contention for that Big West tournament, the first time that they're having a postseason tournament as opposed to crowning the champion, going to the NCAA tournament off of the regular season. So they're in it right now. The UH football team, obviously, we've been talking about them kind of ad nauseum sometimes of just some of the things that they need to improve on. But last weekend they were improved, but a loss. They're back on the road this week to take on New Mexico. So hopefully, we're looking up for those teams. And then, men's volleyball doesn't get going until later in the year. But tonight, actually, the men's basketball team, they're playing super early. They have a charity invitational taking on national powerhouse St. Mary's. Charity invitational, all proceeds going to Maui wildfire relief.
Nice.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah.
And also really quickly, high school sports?
Yes.
Give
So
us a quick
the
rundown.
OIA playoffs start tonight. We have Lelehua and Radford in the D1 quarterfinal. I kind of see Lelehua having the edge there. And then Kapolei takes on Moanalua for the open quarterfinal tonight. And then we have a whole nother slate tomorrow night for those two brackets of the division. So much exciting football action going on. I cannot wait. Playoffs, football time. As a former football player, you guys know this. This is my favorite time of the year.
Most
Absolutely.
definitely.
And you do such a great job, too. Thank you for the coverage you provide.
Really appreciate that.
Millville is strong.
Oh,
here.
man. Yep.
Our Kyle Chinen joining us here in This Is Now. We don't always get to talk sports in this show, but we want to have you on more often.
Thanks,
Kyle,
guys.
Thank you so much for joining us here today.
Thanks for having me.
Let's go ahead and turn now to some other news. Republican Jim Jordan has failed to become the House Speaker for the third time following yet another vote today.
Yes, and I'm sorry, I have to pull up my script right here. So it was during a third ballot that the Ohio congressman fell short of the votes that were needed to become the House Speaker. Once again, losing ground among House Republicans. This time, 25 voted against him.
Let's go ahead and play this report from Natalie Brand.
Ohio Congressman Jim Jordan is now out of the race for House Speaker after losing a third floor vote Friday.
A speaker has not been elected.
He continued to lose ground with 25 Republicans voting against him.
It's unfortunate, but this is the way democracy works.
We should stay here until we have a speaker nominee. We should continue this process.
In a news conference ahead of the vote, Jordan said he would not back down, even after losing back-to-back ballots this week.
We need to help Israel. We need to get the appropriations process moving so that the key elements of our government are funded and funded in the right way, particularly our military.
In the meantime, Congress cannot take action on President Biden's request for security assistance for Israel and Ukraine and the U.S. budget. A government shutdown is looming in less than a month.
We recognize that Jim Jordan is a clear and present danger to the American people. And we are going to be here for as long as it takes to end this national nightmare.
House Minority Leader Hakeem Jeffries urged Republicans to find a bipartisan path forward. House Republicans are expected to return on Monday for a candidate forum for Speaker. Natalie Brand, CBS News, Capitol Hill.
Hamas has announced that it has released 2 U.S. hostages they've been holding for almost 2 weeks now, according to 3 people with knowledge of the matter. The 2 fell into the hands of Hamas after the militants launched a deadly surprise attack on Israel on October 7th. The Israeli Defense Forces said earlier that most of the estimated 200 people taken hostage by Hamas that day were still alive. The military also said that more than 20 of them are under the age of 18. Sharing new information on the status of hostages, the Israeli military said that between 10 and 20 of those taken captive were over the age of 60. NBC News was not able to independently verify the IDF statements. Israeli says the hostages were taken to Gaza, but their exact whereabouts within the enclave are unknown, making their rescue more complicated. The hostages include people from dozens of countries, while many also are Israeli citizens. U.S. National Security Advisor Jake Sullivan said on Tuesday that 20 or more Americans are missing, adding that he could not say how many of those were being held hostage.
We have new details today on a deadly crash in the Ko'olina area overnight. A woman was killed and a man was badly hurt when their car flipped while exiting Farrington Highway. It happened just after 7 o'clock on the Ali'inui Drive off-ramp. Police believe the 36-year-old female driver was speeding when she lost control and crashed into 2 palm trees. That caused the vehicle to roll over. She was pronounced dead at the scene. EMS took the 38-year-old passenger to the hospital in serious condition. It's not yet clear if drugs or alcohol were involved. And in East Oahu, a visitor from New York is in critical condition after jumping off the cliff at China Walls and hitting his head on the rocks. It happened around 6 last night. Surfers kept the 24-year-old afloat after he was swept out to sea. He was brought ashore and EMS took him to the hospital for further care. Over on Kauai, police are investigating the discovery of a body this week in Kapa'a. The unidentified individual was found floating in the water off the Waikaia Canal, better known as the Lihi boat ramp, on Tuesday morning. Foul play is not suspected, but police are asking for any tips in identifying this person.
My police are reporting another death from the wildfires. It's now the first new fatality reported in more than 2 weeks. County officials tell the Honolulu Civil Beat remains were found at the Old Lahaina courthouse last week, and it hadn't been clear at the time it was indeed a new victim. The death toll now stands at 99 people lost. All but 2 have been identified by MPD. There's first-time funding for the embattled 30-meter telescope from the National Science Foundation, even though the project has been stalled for 4 years. Mahealani Richardson reports.
The U.S. National Science Foundation is an independent federal agency that supports science and engineering. TMT says this first $6.5 million award is for design and development and does not represent commitment for construction.
The construction of the 30-meter telescope on Mauna Kea has been stalled since protests in 2019. This year, the National Science Foundation awarded $6.5 million for the design and development of TMT and another $6.5 million award to the Giant Magellan Telescope in Chile.
What are your plans for continuing the funding and the work to design TMT in fiscal 24?
In the 24, we have budgeted again to continue with this process, and we have asked for $30 million of investment so that we will be able to move these projects forward as these review processes happen.
TMT says the National Science Foundation funding helps prepare for the next steps.
Go home. Stop desecrating our places.
The NSF is still considering comments for its environmental review from meetings last year that were filled with opposition.
We obviously don't have it squared away on the Hawaii side of this, but we have to move in parallel paths in case everything comes together.
We are working with the state of Hawaii to make sure that we are positioning the appropriate investments in a way that they can, be sequenced at the right time.
It's disappointing, but not surprising that this project continues to be pushed forward.
TMT opponents are getting ready for a state land board meeting early next month where its permit is being challenged.
There's so many obstacles to this project, and we, the people, are firmly committed. We're as committed as ever. No TMT.
First knee-jerk reaction was excitement.
While supporters of TMT say the funding is a positive step.
I think it's great that the National Science Foundation is showing a true interest in the development of, kind of the next generation of technologies.
Now, the NSF says they'll consider construction funding in 2025. As for that land board hearing next month, the permitting issue is over whether construction actually started in 2019. I'm Mahealani Richardson, Hawaii News Now.
CVS Pharmacy, the parent company of Long's Drugs, is pulling some of its most popular cold and cough medicines from shelves, like Benadryl and Sudafed. The company says it will stop selling certain pills, syrups, and liquids that contain the oral decongestant phenylephrine as the only active ingredient. This comes just over a month after the FDA panel determined the over-the-counter cold and allergy medications with that ingredient are not effective.
Fisher-Price is recalling thousands of toy trucks due to a choking risk. The Thomas & Friends wooden railway troublesome truck and crates and the truck and paint models were sold on Amazon and at Barnes & Noble. Some plastic pieces can detach, posing a choking hazard for kids. No injuries have been reported. For a refund, go to service.mattel.com.
In Florida, a former lawmaker has been sentenced to 4 months in federal prison for wire fraud and money laundering. Prosecutors say GOP State Representative Joseph Harding had acquired more than $150,000 in small business loans by lying on COVID-19 relief fund applications. In court, he said he had no one to blame but himself. Harding resigned from the Florida House last year. Now, before leaving, he was the sponsor of a controversial Don't Say Gay legislation that bans certain instruction about sexual orientation and gender identity in Florida elementary schools. Well, it is Honolulu Pride Month, and the height of the festivities will be taking place this weekend. Before we give you a preview of this weekend's parade and festival, I want to play a story from last year's Pride Month on the origins of where this all started. At 77, Scott Foster continues to embrace his true self.
Because it's safe to be gay now. So here I am and here we are.
He remembers the early days when he first came to Hawaii. The gay scene thrived in Waikiki at landmark bars like Hula's and Hamburger Mary's.
Boy, those were the days. Talk about rock and roll fun.
But he wanted to do more, so he laid the groundwork for Hawaii's first ever Pride Parade.
The first one was some people walked down the sidewalks in Waikiki carrying a few signs. There were maybe 25 people.
That first Pride March happened on June 30th, 1974. It was a small one that went from the corner of Macaulay Street and Kalakaua to Queen Surf Beach.
That's how it all came to begin.
Since then, Pride has grown, becoming a more widely accepted month-long event celebrating love, equal rights, and gender identity. But it wasn't always well received.
We were hated and despised.
I had heard from other people that shared with me was that they felt like they're in danger at times because people would throw eggs. I heard there were rocks that were being thrown and a lot of name calling.
John's Stone Road, Mr. Gay Pride 1995, witnessed many pride parades since the early 90s.
It felt really inclusive, I think. And I think what made it inclusive is I got to see a variety of people that was there. When it came to the parade, everybody was just like together, But I'm seeing a lot more acceptance among younger generations, so which is very, very comforting.
While both agree acceptance for the gay community has blossomed, they also agree challenges remain.
Will that discrimination ever go away? No. There will always be straight people who are scared to death of gay people, and there will always be closeted people who are scared to death to associate with being gay.
We're not longer in that era. Now it's like there's more people, there's more colors to the flag, and I think it's good to embrace them.
Now, the Grand Parade is set to take place Saturday morning, followed by the festival. This year is poised to be bigger than ever because of the return of a major international superstar. The theme this year, Homecoming, to celebrate the return to the islands for Hawaii's Sasha Colby, the first native Hawaiian manawahine to achieve international stardom after winning RuPaul's Drag Race Season 15. She's the Grand Marshal for the parade, which is set to begin at 9 a.m. Saturday morning. It runs from Magic Island through Waikiki's Kalakaua Avenue and culminates at Kapi'olani Park. We talked to Colby in May, a month after she won the reality TV competition.
It feels amazing to accomplish a goal that I had set for myself while getting to represent all Hawaiians, which is really cool.
Thousands are set to line the streets to celebrate Hawaii's LGBTQ+ community in the colorful parade. Following the parade at 1 p.m., the festival begins on the grounds of the Waikiki Shell. There will be entertainment throughout the day featuring local and national drag performers, musicians, community groups, and hula halau hi'iakaina maka lehua. Other big names set to take the stage from RuPaul's Drag Race include Carrie Colby, Kimora Black, Kylie Sonique Love, and Laganja Estranja. Hawaii's Mark Kanemura also returns as a headliner. At the festival, the community will also be able to connect with resources and organizations that ensure access to safe medical care and important services. It's always going to be such a fun time there. Once again, you can tune into Hawaii News Now Sunrise tomorrow morning. They're on air from 7 a.m. to 9 a.m. Live reports from the start of the parade from a very special guest. But Jonathan, you'll have to tune in to find out who that is.
Okay, I guess it's a really good teaser there.
Yes,
right?
most definitely. And you are looking at a live traffic camera in Waikiki. This is actually where the parade kind of wraps up, right, Jonathan?
Exactly. So I think it's going to be much more crowded tomorrow at this time as you look at our live camera right there. As the parade will kind of wrap up in Kapiolani Park and the Waikiki Shell. This is a route now. Remember, it starts at Magic Island at 9 a.m. So the roadways will be shutting down probably at about 8:30 or so. So if you are planning to go to the parade, get there a little bit earlier and then, park where you need to park. But the parade will probably start at 9 o'clock and wind its way down. You see the white line there that it kind of weaves its way through Ala Moana, then goes through Kalakaua Avenue and all the way down to the intersection of Kapahulu, right where it merges with Kapiolani Park Bandstand. So as we said, this is the calm before the storm, but a lot of color, a lot of people. We're going to be there tomorrow at this time. So be aware of that as you plan your commute if you're going to the parade or if you're trying to get to areas around that area. So it's going to be busy.
Perfect. We will have much more after this short break.
We're getting some much needed rainfall because when you take a look at the drought monitor, you can see it was updated yesterday and a handful of places were downgraded in terms of the drought, including parts of Hawaii Island. Now you got the extreme north side as well as around Mauna Kea and out towards Na'alehu and the South Point. They are under now extreme drought. We still got extreme drought for the south and west sides of Maui, and we have severe drought for our leeward side as well as the leeward side of Kauai, which has been expanded more out to the north. Now we are expecting some showers today. We've got them, but mainly for Kauai and Oahu, right? Maui County pretty much out of reach of it. Same thing for Hawaii Island. And that weak front will dry up, drier conditions by Saturday. Should be pretty nice. And the winds will back off. So tomorrow's going to be stickier and warmer than it is today. And then another juicier front drops in sometime late Sunday. Monday and Tuesday, we'll see those scattered showers linger around. Going to be cloudier as well. And those southwesterly winds bumping up on Monday. And then those variable winds come in on Tuesday.
Time to take a look at some of the headlines from the feeds. Adele is giving her fans something to sing about. She's just announced that she is extending her Las Vegas residency one last time. Adele made the announcement on social media Friday, writing the shows changed her life and were a, quote, extraordinary restorative experience that I'll never forget. The final leg of Weekends with Adele kicks off in January and will run through next June. Fans are able to register for tickets for the new shows now through October 23rd, which is Monday. Tickets go on sale next Thursday. This marks the second time that Adele extended her residency, which began last November. The current leg will wrap up on November 4th.
Now for some other fun headlines, here's Patrick Cornell with Take a Look at This.
This British submarine found 83 years after being sunk during World War II. Scientists believe it's the HMS Thistle, which was sunk in 1940 by a German submarine, killing all 53 crew members. The HMS Thistle discovered during a research cruise outside of the Norwegian county of Rogaland. Scientists found this vessel at a depth of more than 500 feet below the sea's surface. Moving on, step right into the Salem Witchboard Museum, the world's only Ouija board museum. If you're wondering where this is located, Salem, Massachusetts. To spell it out, the museum owns 600 Ouija boards.
The fact that these are feared is why I love them so much.
The Ouija board, introduced in 1890, according to the museum's owner, the Parker brothers bought the patent for $1 million and actually outsold Monopoly in 1967. The museum itself may be just as spooky as the Ouija board. People have reported spooks and chills when entering the museum.
Recently, I had a woman come in the museum, and the first thing she told me was that in her hearing aid, she heard, "Get out."
For Take a Look at This, I'm Patrick Cornell.
Time to go ahead and give you some look at some good news now. Jonathan, that Ouija board, pretty cool, huh?
That is cool, right?
Yeah.
You always want to have some fun with things with the
Exactly.
heebie-jeebie at the same time, right?
Yep.
Well, Aldi and Walmart are giving shoppers something to be thankful for on Thanksgiving. The two grocery chains announced this week that they are reducing their prices on some of the staples for the holiday feast. Walmart says it will be offering Thanksgiving meals at lower prices than last year. So it's always a good sign to save a little bit of money.
Yeah.
You're buying that turkey and that bird and the stuffing and everything else.
We love that.
Yeah.
We're going to end today with a lovely live look outside. Beautiful Honolulu. Some passing showers throughout the day. We thank you for sticking with us, and we made it to the weekend.
Aloha.